Hey guys, today we're going to do the unboxing and overview of the Samsung Galaxy Z Flip 3, which was just released. Just came out, and this is the third generation of Samsung's Galaxy Z Flip devices. They are flip phones. Flip phones are making a comeback, I guess, in the foldable realm. And I'm talking about, the vertical flip phones. These are the vertical foldables. Because we already have the horizontal, I guess, tablet-style foldables, the Samsung Galaxy Z Fold, and the Huawei Mate X. But now we also have vertical foldable phones like the Motorola Razr Fold. I think that's really the only other phone that's kind of in the same category here. The Galaxy Z Flip 3 has been going on for a few generations now. Actually, the first generation Z Flip came out last year, so it was early last year it came out. So foldables are still not very common yet because they're still mostly very expensive, and for that reason I think just the regular slab type phone is still the most popular. But for people who do have foldables, their first experience of foldables probably was last year, right, 2020. That's when foldables really kind of came out into, I would say, kind of like sort of the mainstream, not fully mainstream, but sort of came out in the mainstream. Because really, I know the Z Fold 1 came out in 2019, but really not many people got their hands on that one, and it wasn't, the first one wasn't very good anyways. I think most people's experience with foldables first happened last year, and now they've been iterating ever since. Now you might be wondering why I get the Z Flip 3, because I already have a vertical foldable phone, the Motorola Razr, right? The Motorola Razr was the, I would say the first foldable vertical phone, right? This is before the Z Flip 1 came out, a little bit before. I think they came out roughly around the same time, but the Motorola Razr Fold was the first one that was like announced, and I still have that one. Right, you guys want to see, this is the Motorola Razr Fold first generation, which came out early last year, and it is the very first kind of vertical folding phone. It made a lot of waves when it first came out, and then Samsung saw that, and it was just like they released something very similar to that like right after. And then the Razr kind of lost its luster because spec-wise it can't compete with the Z Flip, right? But I still use it as kind of like my music player, I guess. It's like the big screen secondary display here is really good for like just swiping through and like doing secondary stuff, mostly for listening to music for me. So it's actually still pretty useful for me, even though I don't use it as a phone most of the time. It's not my primary phone or anything, but as like a secondary or even tertiary phone, I think it's pretty good. I mostly just use it for listening to music these days. Let's get on with the unboxing. This cost $1,000 US because this is very soon after it came out. It just got released last month. Like, I'm talking about just a few days ago. So basically I am an early adopter, right? So this just came out. I paid full price for it. There's actually a few promotions going on. If you have Project Fi, like I do, you can actually get $400 of Project Fi credit if you buy this phone. And if you buy from Samsung, you can actually get some enhanced trade-in values for it. So there are some discounts that you can get. I could not get any discount because of some shipping billing issue or whatever. Every time I try to check out on the Samsung US website or the Google Project Fi website, the Google Store website, there's always some issue with my order. I don't know what it is. It's not my credit card or anything. Like, I called them several times, why isn't the order being processed? And then it just keeps getting canceled for random reasons, and the customer support couldn't even figure it out. And eventually I just got really like annoyed, and I was like, okay, the hell with it. I'm just going to order this from the Canadian website. There's not as many good promotions on the Canadian Samsung website, but at least I'm going to get it. At least my order is not going to be canceled, right? So I got this. Unfortunately, I would have liked to have $400 Google Fi credit, but I couldn't get my Google order in, so it's unfortunate. It keeps getting canceled. But I am going to use this for Project Fi. That's actually one of the main reasons why I'm getting this. Like I said, I already have a vertical foldable. So it's not because of that. It's because I needed to upgrade my Project Fi phone, which right now is a Pixel 4, and it's really kind of dying. Like, there's all sorts of bugs and stuff wrong with it. The keyboard doesn't work well. It will restart randomly sometimes. Apps and stuff will just crash. Like, that phone's just dying. So rather than just get the Pixel 5a, which I believe is the latest, or wait for the Pixel 6, I went like, okay, well, Pixel 6 is going to be interesting. Phone, of course. But I want a more interesting phone as my next 5 phone, right? So I went for the Z Flip 3 5G. because this is a Fi compatible phone, and yeah, I mean the Pixel 6 is going to be a good phone. I'm sure the camera is probably going to be better than this one. Specs wise, this is still really good and can compete. It's just the camera, the Pixel 6 is probably going to be better, but this phone is more unique, right? So yeah, let's open it up. Actually, enough talking. All right, and here we get. They actually position this as a vertical, almost like a traditional phone, right? It looks almost just like a really tall. Like if I didn't know that this was a flip phone, this really kind of looks like a Sony Xperia, doesn't it? It looks like a Sony Xperia 1 Mark III or whatever they have out right now, which is very, very tall and lengthy but doesn't fold, right? I would think that this is like almost like a Sony Xperia if I didn't know that this was a flip. And how to get the green color? I think the green color is really nice. Almost reminds me of that Ocean Depths color I have on my Essential phone. You know, that kind of teal color. It's not really like green, you know, you don't think of this as green. Green, it's more like a turquoise type of color. Almost like turquoise or teal. Like, it's a really nice green. It's almost like it's got some blue in it, which is really nice. Right, so this does remind me of my Ocean Depths color on my Essential phone, which is a good sign. I mean, I really loved the look of that phone. So yeah, this green is a lot better, you know, in person than it does in the pics. Like, this is just a very emerald, like maybe it's not like, you know, bright green or anything like that. This is like a nice dark green, which I really like. Okay, so yeah, and of course it folds in just like that, and it's pretty cool. And unlike the Motorola Razr Fold, you can actually keep it like at this angle. So pretty much the same as my Z Fold 2. This is my Z Fold 2. You can see it's the same hinge mechanism, right? It's got the Samsung logo, and then you just, as you fold it, right, it just kind of disappears like that, which is pretty cool. By the way, I would use my Z Fold 2 as my main phone, but it's not Project Fi compatible, unfortunately. And Project Fi is just really useful for traveling, which I will be doing soon as the borders open up. So I will be doing a lot more traveling, and I will be using Project Fi as my main carrier, since it can connect to all the different carriers across the world. So yeah, it would be nice if I can use my Fold 2 as my main phone, which I pretty much am using this as my main phone, just not for data exactly. Yeah, then I would be using this one for traveling, right, for the international data for Project Fi, right, since it has that ability. It's Project Fi compatible. I wish the Fold 2 was Project Fi compatible, or the Fold 3 that came out, but unfortunately it isn't. So anyways, Z Flip 3, same mechanism here, and you can like keep it in this position. Like, unlike the Motorola Razr Fold, it just, well, I guess it kind of can, but not really, right? Yeah, it kind of just like wants to roll stuff out. Well, why is that useful? Well, I guess if you're doing like a video call or something like that, or you just like, you don't have any stand or anywhere to put it, and you want to like read something, I guess from this position it's a lot more comfortable. I guess if you're like just looking at some web page or a video, watching a video, or you're doing a video call, then this is more convenient. So I guess that's why that's important. All right. As for controls, I mean, there's a SIM card on the side here. You got two lenses here. This is the fingerprint sensor. I think it's the same one that the Z Fold 2 uses. Yep. And then the volume rocker right here, and the USB-C charger right here. I believe, is this stereo speakers? I think it might be stereo, like one speaker here and then one from the top here. So I remember the speakers on my Z Fold 2 are actually pretty good, and this might be the same setup. I think it's also the same stereo kind of setup, where they have one on the bottom and then one coming out of here. Anyways, very nice color. I'm really I got the green color. I expected it to be pretty nice, but this is actually really nice. Yeah, the green color. And what else you get in here? There's no charger, by the way. Samsung is really trying to cop Apple these days, huh? They took off the headphone jack. There's no headphone jack on here, and they took out the charger. So they're really trying to cop Apple here. So you don't really get, yeah, you get the USB-C cable. Obviously, you have to have that, and then the manual, and that's really it. There's no power brick, no wall wart. That's what they call it. And then you get the SIM removal tool right here. The bare minimums, it's what Samsung's doing, pretty much just like Apple. Like, you can see how thin this box is, right? So they're pretty much just following Apple's lead. They don't give you much in the box anymore. So Samsung is just basically going after Apple at this point. Basically following where the profits are, right? Yeah, what a surprise. So yeah, the specs of this device, let me go over it. It's one of the things about the new generation of foldables, right? The Z Fold 2, by the way, I didn't upgrade to the Z Fold 3 because the major difference is just the display. They just basically increase the durability of the Fold 3 over the Fold 2. The Fold 2 is still, it's just a really nice phone. It's a huge upgrade over the first one. So for the Z Fold 3, it's more of an incremental upgrade. Like they just strengthened the display, right, with new Gorilla Glass and made it stronger and more durable. They made it IPX8 water resistant. So they just made things that, added things that made it durable. And, to me, that's a good upgrade, but I'm not going to pay like, a huge $1,000 premium to upgrade this phone just because of that, right? And the cameras are not that different or anything on the new phone. Design is pretty much the same as well. So yeah, so the major benefit is just more durable, it's water resistant, etc. So I didn't feel any need to upgrade my Fold 2 to the new Fold 3 and pay $1,000 more for that. Z Flip 3 on the other hand, this one is more of a bigger upgrade from the Z Flip 5G because this one adds like more lines here on the bigger display, I guess, on the front. It's still not as big as the Motorola Razr, of course. You can see how big that display is. It's like a 2.4 inch. This one's only a 1.9 inch. So yeah, you can just see this. You have this much room here. Of course, the Razr Fold, the first generation Razr Fold, still has more. So I think as for secondary display, I'm still going to prefer the Razr Fold. But at least the Z Flip 3, increased the amount of stuff that you can do on here. Whereas before it was just like a really tiny display, which I didn't have. I saw that and I was like, I'm not going to use that. So that's barely usable. Now at least it's like got some sort of a smartwatch type of display, which is fine, right? So the other thing that it has over the Razr Fold is it has IPX8 water resistant. So it's a lot more durable than the Razr Fold is. It's actually a lot more durable than even my Z Fold 2 is because it's got all the new durability benefits of the new Fold generation, right? So it's IPX8 water resistant, which is really nice for a foldable. I don't know how Samsung did that. How did you make a foldable that's water resistant? Not sure, but that's a good job. It's a 1080 by 2640 AMOLED display, 6.7 inches if you open it fully like this. Runs Android 11. It's got a Snapdragon 888 5G. 128 gigs of storage space, 8 gigs of RAM, the dual cameras in the front here. So it does not have a telephoto. It only has a wide angle and ultra wide angle, which I think is okay. I mean, telephoto is easily the lens that I use the least out of the phone camera lens. So yeah, usually it's fine just to have these two most of the time. 12 megapixel f1.8 for the regular wide angle. Usually the wide angle one, the regular one, is the one that most people use. So usually that's the best one as well. But the other one is a 12 megapixel f2.2 ultra wide, which if it's pretty much close to the one on the Fold 2 should be okay. The cameras on the Fold 2 are alright. It's about the same as, say, the iPhone 11, right? So it's not going to be as good as the newest generation iPhone or the newest Samsung Galaxy S20e or something like that. It's not going to be that level, but still going to be pretty decent. If you're going to use this as your main camera phone, yeah, I think you won't be disappointed. Like, it's not going to be the best pictures, but I won't say that you'll be disappointed either. It's definitely not like the Razr Fold. You'll never use the Razr Fold for the camera because that's really not that great. But the Z Flip, yeah, the cameras, you can definitely use it as your main camera. Selfie camera is a 10 megapixel f2.4. I really do wish that selfie cameras could be wider. They can make it ultra wide, which makes the most sense for me. Like if you have an option, like they keep putting ultra wide on the back, but for me, like it would be a cool option to put it on the selfie camera as well. Although I'm sure on this particular phone, maybe you can do that because maybe this display can function as a viewfinder. We'll have to find out. Because if you can do that, then you can just use the rear display for selfies too. And then yeah, the usual, all the other stuff. USB 3.1, the battery is a 3300 milliamp hour, fast charging, etc. So Bluetooth 5.1, yeah, you guys already know that. Wi-Fi 6, that's all standard. So yeah, this one is going to be spec-wise a big improvement over the Motorola Razr Fold, of course. I mean, even when the Fold came out, the first generation Fold came out, it was already behind other phones at that time. right? So this phone is a generation newer than this phone, and the original Z Flip was even better than this one. So this one's definitely going to be leagues ahead of the Fold. But of course, the major difference is actually, besides the nostalgia type of value you get by having a Razr Fold, it's that secondary display, you get this massive 2.4 inch, 2.5 inch secondary display here, whereas the Z Flip 3 has a bigger display than before, but still not up to the one on the Razr Fold. So we just have to see how useful this one is. If it's as useful for playing music, then I might even use this one as my main music player, in addition to being kind of my main phone, right, for traveling. So yeah, we'll have to see. Also, just for size comparison, this is the very tall and slim Z Fold 2, which if you open this one up, it's about, I'd say about the same size almost as an Xperia 1. So that's very, very tall and narrow, right? But then it folds up, which makes it a lot smaller. And how small is it when it folded up? Well, this is the iPhone 12 mini. For comparison, the iPhone 12 mini is probably the best small phone that you can get these days that still has flagship specs. Actually, this camera, the iPhone 12 mini camera, is still better than the one on the Z Flip 3. So yeah, this is probably the best small phone that you can get, the regular small phone, not folding, and it has flagship specs. So you can see the size difference right there. The mini is still probably easier to hold, right? But the Z Flip 3 is very, very pocketable. So anyways, guys, that's the unboxing of the Z Flip 3, and I'm going to use it for a bit, and I'm telling you guys my impressions of it. So stay tuned. Alright guys, so after owning the Galaxy Z Flip 3 for a few days, here are my thoughts on it. So yeah, you can see just how small it is. It's roughly about the same size as the Razr Fold, but like a little bit smaller. As you can see, just a little bit smaller than the Razr Fold. And it's easily the most pocketable phone that I have. So this really like square shape right here. I guess when the first generation came out, like, people made fun of it as it looks like a woman's makeup mirror, right? But now it actually looks pretty stylish, in my opinion. So I actually like the looks of it. Compared to these other phones, the iPhone 12 mini is still going to be the best small phone for people who just want like a normal phone, right? And then they want a small phone. And this phone has really good specs and a really good camera. The camera on the iPhone 12 mini is still much better than the one on the Z Flip 3. So I would say, just if you want a small phone, and you don't care about the folding form factor or whatever, and you don't care about full Project Fi compatibility, then because Project Fi doesn't really work like it works on the iPhone, but it doesn't have that network switching ability that it does on native Fi devices like the Pixel and the Z Flip 3. So if you don't care about that stuff, I would say just get the iPhone 12 mini. Like, this is a cheaper phone, it's more affordable, it's still small, right? And it's easy to use, fits in your pocket, and has a much better camera. So yeah, the iPhone 12 mini is probably the phone I would go for if you're just looking for a small phone, because this phone is more affordable, and spec-wise, I think it's actually better than the Z Flip 3. It just doesn't have the coolness of the Z Flip 3. But otherwise, the 12 mini, I think, is, in my video on the 12 mini, I said it was the best value phone on the market, and I still think that. So 12 mini is the phone to get if you're just looking for a small phone. The Galaxy Fold 2, this one isn't a direct competitor to the Z Flip, obviously, because it does something different. It folds out into a tablet, which is a different use case. And it's more expensive than the Z Flip 3 originally. But the Fold 2 is now on the market for about $1,000 open box, right? So you can actually find an open box version of the Fold 2 for $1,000 online, because it is the previous generation. The Fold 3 is the new generation, just came out, of course. So price-wise, it's actually competing with the Z Flip 3. And at that price, I would say the Fold 2 is also a better value, because the Fold 2 just can, it folds out into a tablet, so it's just much more useful, right? The Flip 3 can just become a taller phone, but that in itself just makes it a little bit more portable, but really doesn't change, fundamentally how you would view content on it, right? You always just flip it open. But the Fold 2 and the Fold 3, right, all the Galaxy Z Folds, it fundamentally changes how you view content. Because now whenever you view a map, or you watch a video, or you read a web page, like anything really, social media, whenever you do pretty much anything on this device, like when you expand it into a tablet, it's just a fundamentally different experience, and it's just better, right? And I use this as my daily phone now because you can just do so much more with it, right? You read web pages and view news articles and watch videos. It's just such a better experience on this bigger display. So given that this is $1,000 online discounted now, if you have the money, I would say go for the Fold 2. I honestly think this is a much more useful device for that price. So you can find the previous generation Fold for about the same price as the Z Flip 3 now, and I would recommend this one. Also, the battery life is a lot better on this phone too. One of the things I've been disappointed by on the Z Flip 3 is the battery life. I think the battery life barely lasts a day. If you're doing some heavy work on it, it might not even last a day. The Z Fold 2, on the other hand, I've done pretty much the same workflow that I've done on the Z Flip 3, right? Just, use social media, Instagram, viewing content on web pages, sometimes watching videos. Just that, like, my regular daily flow I use on the Fold 2, and it still has like 40-50% left on the battery, whereas the Z Flip 3 is like 30% left. So the battery on the Z Fold 2 is actually better, and even though it's a bigger display, so it's interesting. But this is a heavier phone. It's not as portable, but still, I wish they could have improved the battery life on the Z Flip 3, because just having 30%, not even the end of the day, is that's kind of sad, especially for $1,000 device. This one, the Z Fold 2, I've never had the battery run out by the end of the day. Like, even if I'm doing like heavy work on it, it still like has a lot of battery life. Did I say 40%? I probably at least 50-60% actually, now that I think about it, until the end of the day. I read a lot of content in social media, just doing my regular thing on this phone, and I still get like double the battery life I get on the Z Flip 3. So yeah, $1,000 discounted and brand new, right? If you have $1,000, I would pick up the Z Fold 2. It enhances your phone experience in pretty much every way. It's got better battery. It's got another lens, right? This one only has the ultra wide and the normal lens. This one has a telephoto in addition. So specs wise, it's got more features as well. So in every way, I think I would prefer, except for portability. But this is not like this is like extremely heavy or anything like that. I still hold this as a normal phone. Sure, it's heavier than the average phone, but I wouldn't say it's like debilitating or something like that. It's not like one of those really rugged phones that you feel like you're holding a brick in your hand. It's not like that. So it's not up to that level. So it's still a phone, just this one's more portable. So really, I think that's the only major advantage of the Z Flip 3, is that Project Fi compatible. This one isn't, and more portable. But yeah, every other way, I would prefer the Z Fold 2, right? Also, yeah, this one is the new generation, so it's IPX8, water resistant, more durable, etc. This one is not, because it's the previous generation Fold. But then you just got to be careful with your devices anyways, right? You should be careful with your devices no matter what, whether it's IPX8 water resistant or not, right? Anyways, if you have $1,000 lying around, both of these are around the same price, pick up the Z Fold 2. It's just the better phone out of these two. You can do way more with it. So that's a better value. All right, now come down to the last comparison, which is the Motorola Razr Fold with the Z Flip 3. Now, I don't have the second generation Razr Fold, but it's not too different than this one. It's just a bit better specs and better camera, and you can do a little bit more in the secondary display. But that's pretty much it. It's not all too different from the first generation. But this is a pretty good comparison, because this is the only other vertical folding phone on the market, right? This is the first one on the market. So what do you feel about that? So as I said, the Motorola Razr Fold, to me, right, and I'm actually gonna open this up so now you can see what this device looks like when it turns on, right? Fingerprint sensor is very fast. This one, I still got to move my thumb down. I don't really care too much for the fingerprint sensor placements. I think either way is fine. Both OLED displays, obviously. Z Flip 3 obviously has better specs. This is a 120 Hz display. You can't see it on the video here, but yeah, this is 120 Hz. This is not. Specs wise, this is the better phone, right? The difference is the secondary display. So you close this display, right? The secondary display on the Moto Razr Fold is bigger by a significant amount, right? So let's say, look at what you can do with the secondary display here, right? You can pull out your songs and you can pull up your notifications and everything. You can clear like that. You can make a phone call from this. You can add shortcuts. So that's pretty cool. And then this secondary display here, see how this has that cool animation, right? Yeah, which is it's a good touch, I guess. This one has a better camera, of course. If you're going to be using your phone to take pictures, then yeah, the Z Flip 3 is definitely the better phone than the Razr or the Razr 5G. In this one, you also do a similar kind of thing where you can swipe like this and then it'll show up different content. So you can add some different widgets to it. So by default, it'll show the time, the date. Yes, you can see the battery life here. It's not even the end of the day, right? This is just the evening, and still it's like 35%, which means it's almost dead. So it can barely last a day, really. Unfortunately, I think the Razr Fold might even have better battery life than the Z Flip 3, which is kind of sad because the Razr Fold doesn't even have good battery life either. But I think it has better battery life than this thing. Not that this thing is, like, most of the time they should be ambient, right? It doesn't really display. So both of these are ambient, actually. The Razr Fold actually has a proximity sensor. So whenever I, put my hand over it or come close to it, then it'll wake up like this. And the Z Flip 3 doesn't have that ability. But even so, even it doesn't have that ability, it's like most of the time it's off. For some reason, the battery life is just not great. I don't know. Maybe Samsung can push like a firmware update or something like that. Like the battery life shouldn't be this bad. So yeah, the secondary display, you can see how much bigger it is than compared to the first generation Z Flip, but it's still much smaller than the Moto Razr, right? So yeah, you have music player here. It's the different widgets. You have music player. You can actually customize some of these widgets, but music player, weather, alarm, and voice recorder, and you can add more widgets here. And you can add today's schedule, and you can add a timer. Those are the other widgets that you can add that I don't have on here because I don't really use them. But you can add like I guess the calendar might be useful. Yeah, actually I'm not going to use that because I don't use Samsung Calendar. I use Google Calendar, so that's pretty much useless. So yeah, these are the main widgets that I use, I guess. That's pretty much it. I mean, after you open up the phone, it's pretty much the same as a regular phone at this point. It's just pretty tall vertically, but otherwise, yeah, it's got 120 Hertz display, which is pretty nice. Otherwise, it's just a normal phone after you open it up. It's really the secondary display that's kind of unique about this phone. So yeah, the secondary displays of both of these phones is what kind of makes them special. For the Razr Fold, I think this secondary display is still better. You can do way more with it. So you can swipe from the bottom to get your notifications. I don't have any right now, but you can do that. And then you can add shortcuts. You can make a phone call from here. That's something that you can't do on the Z Flip. And then you can actually turn on the camera here. So you can actually turn on the camera from here, and then you even record video. So these are things that the Z Flip 3 cannot do. And actually, if you have the successor, the 5G, the second generation Motorola Razr Fold, that one you can do pretty much anything on this display. So the secondary display on the Motorola Razr Fold is definitely more powerful than on the Z Flip 3. So the Z Flip 3 pretty much only has these few widgets. I mean, they might add more in the future, but for now you're pretty much just limited to these widgets, which are very basic. So this is pretty much no more than a very limited smartwatch. So you can think of it as that. It's just a very limited smartwatch type of functionality, whereas the Razr Fold isn't just a smartwatch on the outer display. It's basically a full-fledged phone on the outer display. You can pretty much run anything on it. So I still prefer the secondary display in the Motorola Razr Fold. Actually, with the latest update, even the first generation Razr Fold can do a lot on the external display. So actually, I can even launch YouTube from here, right? I can actually add shortcuts and manage my apps here. So I can actually add a whole bunch of apps on the external display here, right? Google Home, Keep Notes, all my SMS messages, Google Calendar, Calculator, I mean, just look at this. Basically every app you can add on the external display: eBay, Facebook, Gmail, Instagram. Yeah, there's basically everything you can do on here. So Motorola's external display, it's basically a full-fledged phone, right? You can do pretty much all your apps you can add on the external display. You don't even need to open the device. You can just have a smaller display here, like for YouTube, for example. Yes, this is a full version of YouTube on this small display. So it's crazy what the Razr Fold can actually do. So yeah, you can do obviously way more on the external display here compared to the Z Flip 3. Even though the Z Flip 3 display is still bigger than the previous generations, it's still nowhere near as capable as the Razr Fold. So, I mean, just for example, launch an app that both of these have. So Music Player, right, is one that the Z Flip can do. Let's do that on the Razr first, and then I can show you guys the speakers as well. Let's do this one, some non-copyrighted song. All right. So on the external display, you can see like a full-size kind of cover art, and then you can control it from here. And this is the full volume on the Razr. The speakers aren't great, but you know, it is what it is. Most phone speakers aren't that great. Actually, I believe this is a mono speaker. So the Z Flip does have an advantage in the speakers because the Z Flip is stereo speakers. This is a mono speaker, I believe. And yeah, this is playing music on the Razr Fold. Right, you can see the entire external display here is taken up by the album art, and you can also see the time as well. So it doesn't even interrupt you from seeing your, the current clock. So you can see the time and also play your music, which is pretty cool. And of course, you can go to the next track and stuff, which right now I don't have lined up on the playlist. But yeah, you can do that. Then if I unlock it, I can actually pull down from the top to access my standard menus right here. This is what you would get on normal phones. So you can also enlarge the music player from here, and you can choose to play from the phone speaker or from a Bluetooth device. So yeah, there is a lot you can do on the external display of the Razr Fold. It is a much more capable display. It's basically a full-fledged phone. So yeah, yeah, basically everything you can do on the device when you open it up, you can do on the external display on the Razr Fold. Whereas the Z Flip 3, so yeah, notifications you can definitely view on the Z Flip 3, and other than that, it's very limited. Although I think you can actually turn on the camera as well by double-clicking the power button, and there it is. There's the camera, which you can also use to take selfies with. So this is going to be pretty similar to the camera on the Motorola Razr Fold. Right, on the Razr Fold, you just turn this way and you have access to the camera right here. And the Z Flip, you just double tap the power button. So it does have a similar feature. Right, so you do have access to that. If you want to take selfies using the rear camera, which often is better than the selfie camera, then there's that. And yeah, and notifications and widgets, and that's pretty much it. But yeah, let's just play some music. I can also show off the oh yeah, you can adjust the volume from the top. That's pretty much the only control you have is the volume. Okay, this one has stereo speakers, so it should sound louder than the Razr Fold. Yeah. So yeah, I mean, you can do the same functions as some of the things on the Razr Fold, but it's not nearly as interactive, and it's definitely more limited. So this is all you get when you play music. Yeah, I mean, you can play, pause, go to the next track, pretty much it. That's the extent of what you can do, and you can toggle the volume. View notifications, turn on the camera, that's pretty much all you can do on this external display here. So, anyways guys, that's it. That's the comparison here. The difference is, if you really care about the external display, the Razr Fold is obviously better. You can do a lot more with it. It's pretty much a full-fledged phone. You can use any app on the external display. With everything else, the specs, the camera, the durability, right? This is not IPX8. This is not water resistant. Z Flip 3 is going to be more durable and resistant. In those ways, the Z Flip 3 is a better phone. So it really depends what you're going to use your phone for, right? So if you're going to use your phone, I would say for just standard media consumption and stuff like that, you might actually want to get the Razr Fold, especially since the first generation Razr Fold is extremely cheap. If you look online, I think I've seen them as cheap as $350. So, I mean, that's just crazy for a foldable device, $350. Like the first gen Razr Fold has really been discounted. So you can find this one pick it up really cheap online, and the external display here can do pretty much everything. So if you're just looking for a small phone that can, play music, can watch YouTube videos or something like that, then you can actually use the Razr Fold for that. But don't expect to take like good pictures or anything like that. Like if you're looking for an actual phone to, take pictures and be really fast and everything like that and play games, then the Z Flip 3 is much better for that. So it really depends what you're looking for, right? So the Razr Fold is not going to be a main phone. It's just not powerful enough to be your main phone. As a secondary phone, I think it's pretty good, and it's definitely the better value out of the two. It's $350. You can find the first gen online for a huge discount. Originally retailed for $1,500. I bought mine for $1,100, so it's a huge discount. Z Flip 3, right, full price, $1,000, but you do get better specs and everything. Camera is better and more durable and stuff. But then, like I said, $1,000, you can also get an open box Fold 2, which I think is a better value than that, because again, it's more capable than the Z Flip 3. Or for the best value, you can get an iPhone 12 mini, which has a much better camera than pretty much any of these, and it's probably just as affordable as this one actually. So yeah, if these two are the same price, I would go for the 12 mini, right? It's just a much more functional phone, and you can use that as your main phone. So that's it, guys. That's my review of the Samsung Galaxy Z Flip 3. And let me know if you have any questions or comments in the comment section. So that's it. Thanks for watching. So a couple other cool things I want to show you guys that you can do on the front cover display of these devices. So on the Motorola Razr Fold, you can actually, like I've already pinned some of my apps on the secondary display here, and of course you've already seen that you can add pretty much anything, any app that you have, you can use on the front cover display. Really depends on your use cases, of course. For me, I put calculator on here. It seems like it's something that's very convenient. Calendar, again, another very convenient thing just to quickly check your daily schedule. Then I put some texting apps on here that might be useful, if you were to text someone. And if you do text someone here, you do get like a full screen keyboard, so it's pretty easy actually. It's not like that cramped as you would expect. And then I put a clock here for like alarms and stuff like that, or dual time zone, things like that. But one of the cool apps that Motorola added in the update is called Astro Odyssey. So this one comes with the update, and it's actually a game meant specifically for the cover display. It's a very simple game. It's just like one of those old school Atari arcade games, I guess. Really just try to get a high score. And it's pretty much the same as the game that you find on Chrome. On the Chrome browser, if you're offline, you can actually play a game on it. I don't know how many people know that. It's like a dinosaur jumping over cactuses. It's very, very simple, but this is the same game basically. Like, just try to get a high score, and you can play this when you're like waiting in line or something, like just to kill some time. So yeah, this is I mean, it's just cool that they added something like this. So anyways, just wanted to show that there's a cool little fun game here. You can even do some settings in that. But alright, so yeah, some other stuff that you can do with the cover display on the Motorola Razr Fold. And then on the Z Flip 3, actually, of course I already said that you can view notifications and stuff, which is I guess you get this little smartwatch type of at a glance type of interaction. And of course you can have access to your widgets, like I said, but and also access the camera as well with a double click. But you can also hold it, and you can also add a removal widget from here, right? So that's just a short way to access that. And then the main display here, the main like time display here, you can actually change this to several different themes. So this is something I found out recently as well. So these are all different themes that you can change to, and actually you can do a lot more with it if you go to cover screen settings. You need to open the phone for that. Yeah, if you go to cover screen settings, it's actually a few things you can do. You can actually change the background image to, you can put a custom wallpaper here, or use one of the Samsung's wallpapers, use your own one. It's pretty cool. You can change the clock color here. I can change it to, I'm just gonna have it be blue here, and then yeah, you can change the type of cover display, what it looks like. This is the default one, and then you can change to this one here with sort of animation. It's pretty cool. Then you can change to this one. I'm not sure what that's supposed to be. And then the walking animal thing. I think every time, is this different every time? Okay, it's like a different animal there. This one, then you can have like a pretty simple one here. Analog clock here. Different kind of displays. This one I guess will have more space. Another analog clock, and then I'm using the one with the dual time zone. You can show me Korea time as well. So that's what I'm using. But yeah, I just wanted to show that there are different types of displays that you can change to. So yeah, that's why I can change it to my dual time zone display now. Actually, I'm curious about what the animal one looks like. Okay, so yeah, here you have a walking cat. Then it's just like a smartwatch. You can change, like, yeah, there's a different animal. It's like you can change a smartwatch face, right, by long pressing it. You can do that here. Change the clock face, basically. So anyways, I just want to show some other cool stuff you can do with the cover display. Yeah, something else I want to show is the YouTube functionality, or how videos look on this smaller display here. So for example, I'm going to watch a YouTube video here.
Yes is a word you hear a lot.
Here we go. Okay. So this is basically how a YouTube video will look like on this secondary display.
And he was known as the Great Profile,
yeah.
So he
So
put
it's
it in
not bad actually,
in the
considering
such,
this is all using the cover display.
He held Olive and
Yeah, I
Frankie
guess,
when they were born.
expanding it doesn't really do much.
He's just in my life, and he's
But yeah,
very
otherwise
important
you have
to
all
me, and
the
we were
access
sitting
to
around
everything.
the table, and we were having dinner, and
Minimize
Frankie
it.
is exactly
When you search,
my age
full screen
when
keyboard
I
pops up.
did.
Yep. I can view my own videos here actually. This is the cover Barbie girl that I did. Okay, I'm not going to subject you guys to that kind of torture. I don't think very highly of my own singing. It's just there for, yeah, for hobby reasons, I guess. All right, that's pretty much it. I mean, yeah, it's pretty cool actually that you can actually view videos on the smaller display, not just music and stuff. That's something new they added in the update, so that's pretty cool. So I actually found a usability issue with this phone, especially with the camera. So this phone is meant to be portable, right? Compact, and you expected, like, you can open it up with one hand like this and be able to log in, right, with the fingerprint. And then, like, say I want to take a picture, right? It's probably very common that we're just walking around with our phones and then we see something that we want to take a picture of, right? Very common scenario. So then you would think that you'd be able to just open the camera with one hand, but you can't, right? Like, this is one of the annoying thing. Like, I have to use both hands and then, like, specifically click the camera button. So that's one thing I don't like, is you can't do it one-handed. Like, if I do it like this, it doesn't. I mean, there's a lot of cases where I use my phone one-handed and I want to take a picture, and this just, I gotta click it a few times maybe. It seems like one-handed there's some sort of bug, right? Two-handed it works fine. One-handed, there's something weird going on. Like, I can't just, yeah, like, what is going on, right? Can't I just go back like that? See, it's just weird. I can't use it one-handed. Usually, like, if I'm holding any other phone, right, like an iPhone or something like that, regular Galaxy, right, I would just open it like this with one hand, easy. But it doesn't work. It just doesn't work very well. I do, like, yeah, so that's the one complaint I found when I'm using this phone. It's like, you got to use both hands to actually open the camera, then it works. One-handed, it's very iffy. Yeah, like, I don't know why, it just has some trouble detecting your thumb when you when you move your thumb over. I guess there's an issue with that. So just a little bit of an annoying thing that I found when using this phone. And of course, obviously the battery life I already talked about is the other annoying thing I found. It just doesn't last that long. See, my razor works, right? If I just click on this, it works. It just opens the camera. I can do one hand no problem. And actually having this little grip here does help, but because the entire phone is actually not taken up by the display, but works every time, right? Z Flip 3, I can't do that, so weird.